What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Lunar Caster Corner.
Lunar Caster Corner. We're missing one more white guy.
And none of them are here. We're stealing the name. That's the podcast, the one episode podcast.
Welcome to Expend to Lunar. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like.
Expend to tracking.
Oh my god. I'm going to expend myself after this podcast.
Ooh, I've got to expend myself.
All right, but yeah, I'm here with the majority of the Lunar Pantheon from this season. I got Caleb and Insane. You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, my bugs? It's Caleb from the Elestriad. If you're on this channel, you know who I am. Well, let's hear about Alex. That's what matters.
Subscribe to the Elestriad.
I'm Super Insane 18. I do have another Elestrals channel. That's my main channel, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! You can check it out. It's Insane Elestrals. But yeah, I am also of the Lunar Pantheon.
All right, this totally professional setup we got going. I'm just going to jump into the first question. So why Lunar, guys? Why did we do this to ourselves?
Funny. I've thought a lot about this, so I'd love to go first answer this. I think a lot of why Lunar is I've been very Draking pilled recently. I have a 1 of 10 Draking that I really wanted to play. And a large portion of why I wanted to pick Lunar is I was really curious to try and play with the new Lunar cards, because we were revealed some of them as a part of signing on the Elestriad and before choosing what Pantheon that we picked. And so I thought that it would be worth it to try and experiment with actually like making Lunar work with either Ferrogeist or Posthumous. But the reality is that the restrictions on the Spirit deck made it impossible to make anything meaningful for either of those.
Yeah.
And so you just had to play really dog shit. Sorry, can I swear? You had to play really bad Draking.
Yeah, I think, not to get too ahead of ourselves here, I think the biggest tell as to how impactful the format was is every week we always brought exactly 11 Lunar Spirits, and you look at every other Pantheon, and they were running 12, 13, 14 of their main elements. We didn't have that luxury.
For the ones that were good, because like Fire, I know we're doing the same shit, where they're playing 9 Earth and then 11 Fire or something like that. Like Shady's
that fruit deck, I'm inspired with the fruit deck. I love it.
The fruit deck, or the Krakatuga bird, or the Super Tuga bird.
So I'm not going to lie. The reason I actually chose Lunar is because the night before the draft, I was in a call with Caleb and Swollax, and I was fully sold on water. And I want it noted that by the time my pick was up, I think I was number 9 in the draft, water was still fully available. So I had every opportunity to get what I wanted. But the night before, Swollax specifically, like Caleb was kind of on board, but mostly Swollax was like, oh my god, Lunar's so good. You can go Calf Mel and just sit on it until you go into Ferrogeist. And if you've seen my week 2, you know that that's not the thing to do. And it was just the entire, and then he's like, yeah, I'm also going to pick Lunar with you guys. And then he's picked number 2 and he picks Earth.
Well, no, he didn't commit to picking Earth. He was very back and forth on it, and then he had like a 6 a.m. This was like a 3 a.m. call with all of us. He had a 6 a.m. call with Josh, and Josh was like, come on. Come the fuck on, dude. Come on.
But here's the thing. Swole was right, because Swole lost, and we all won. But I'm pretty sure,
I guess joke's on you, Swole.
By the time I picked, I believe Earth is all taken up. And then I think something else was. I think there's 2 elements all picked before I got to. I think it was water and earth. I think went first. Because I was originally going to go water as well, and then I had the Law Yu-Gi-Oh like in my DMs the night before, going, "Hey, pick Thunder. I have the sauce." And that's who I lost to, so I shouldn't listen to him. But I was like, you know what? Like, I'm looking at all the deck lists. I don't really play Thunder. I would like to play Frost, but Frost is kind of like in the weird, at least at the time it was in the janky space of like, it's not good. Recent tournaments beg to differ. But I was like, Lunar's a really interesting deck building position where it's like, the restrictions actually matter. You have like a bunch of weird cards, and the advantage you get out of playing Lunar, at least when we started playing Elestriad, is nobody knew how to play against it yet. So you know Draking's this big threat, but like you're just going, oh, I'll just hide behind my shield, but you're not playing around Boombat or Gloombat then. And so I was like, okay, I have an interesting deck building, so I'll have fun deck building. And my opponents are going to get thrown off at least for the first week or two with the weird plays that Lunar can do with the, what do we have, 13 cards?
If that.
Yeah,
I believe it's
think it
13
might be
cards. It's
exclusive to Lunar or Lunar subtype as well.
Has
like
a
partial.
Lunar element in the cost.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
I think it's 13.
Brontowisp, that's the Camel 2, Camel 3.
Brontowisp!
I talked about this in a separate video, and I literally was like, okay, we have Brontowisp? Nope. And I just threw it behind my back. I'm like, there's no way we don't have the fire to run.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But
So, like,
it's just interesting.
Funny enough, because we're talking about how like Draking was pretty much the only playable option given the small pool. I didn't want to say anything because, you know, obviously there's the whole team element and whatever, but once you make it to like the semis, there's a possibility that you're up against one of your teammates. So there was some information that I was holding pretty close, and that was that if it were any of us versus each other, I was bringing Moose. Because in theory, right, you don't play Rock in a Hard Place because every single time you cast it, it would benefit me, and that just makes Moose like the freest thing ever. But I mean, obviously it didn't happen that way because, you know, anything other than Draking is just not playable.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that real quick. So what were our deck options going to the season? Obviously, we all played Draking at one point. Mm-hmm. We all spent every week talking each other out of Farrageist. That failed.
No. There was one week where I was talked into Farrageist.
Or rather, I think we started every round going, okay, guys, I think this is the round we go Farrageist. And then we spend the majority of the time talking us out of Farrageist. Especially for our round of 8 between Caleb and I. We were both like, I think we go Farrageist. And then I was like, I think go Farrageist. You're like, no, you don't go Farrageist, you go Draking. And then you were like, I go Farrageist. Yeah. And I was like, no, you go Draking.
A lot of the testing that I did for the Elestriad was like, it sucks because there's such a huge restriction by having 11 Lunar and having 2 playable Lunar 1 cost. No, there are 2 playable Lunar 1 costs. There are 2. There is exactly Nobby and there's exactly Spectaris. Drakid is not playable outside of playing Draking, right?
Yeah.
Gloombat is not a 1 cost. That is a rune. That is a fucking rune. That is not a 1 cost. There are 2 playable 1 costs. And so having 11 Lunar Spirits dedicated to that means you just have to play a bunch of either bad cards or supplementary stuff, which is going to end up being Rock and Hard Place. This is the only way you can actually meaningfully spend that Lunar, other than like maining Dense Fog, which sucks.
Yeah, well, Rock in the Hard Place is actually a good card, surprisingly.
It is. It
like,
is.
Rock in a Hard Place carried every game that it was in.
Yeah.
But, like, I think we could talk about this. If not, just cut it out and post.
No, good.
But now that the entirety of Moonrise has been revealed, as soon as it was revealed what we were getting for Lunar for the Elestriad, I immediately got into Dan's DMs, and I was like, what are the chances we can get our hands on the Schnark and Joblin line? Because that would have been incredible. Being able to search Rock in a Hard Place and having an additional boss monster that we could possibly go into. Yeah. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But
even there, though, we would have just ended up with 5 to 6 water and a bunch of Lunar. Like, it would have been the same restrictions. Just
but it's
more options.
Given us more options.
Yes.
The thing that I mourn about this Elestriad is I just wish that there was a handful more playable cards. It didn't need to be the entirety of Moonrise. But what we got because of exactly celebrations just like was so unimpactful. We basically were just playing with Daybreak plus Draking. Like
it is better than it could have been. Like imagine if we didn't get Shattered Stars 9 and didn't have like Gloombat was a linchpin in a lot of decks. Like it was really useful.
Actually, frankly, Gloombat was something I cut post side every single time. I do not think. So my assumption, at least, is that the people I'm playing against guaranteed after game 1, are never setting to back row. If they know that I'm on Lunar, they're not doing that game 1 anyway. But I'm playing it regardless, just to have a normal summon threat, so that they know to play around it in the future if they aren't explicitly doing it. And then I side it out for Tadpuff plus other better cards because Gloombat is ass.
He's fine. I will say, I think most people expected me to side out of it right away, so I just kept it in, and it worked. and it worked. Like I got
there was that game versus
valid.
Law where you gloom-batted him like 6 turns in a row. You just kept re-enchanting your gloom-bat.
I'm okay trading spirit value for card advantage right now because I have Dracking in hand. I have all these other cards that like.
I'll be honest. I commentated that, and like, a part of me wonders if the correct thing was just to play into the back row because it would have taken more spirit commitment out of him.
Yeah, that's definitely the high.
So Thunder being so spirit efficient, I think that you just kind of have to like make him burn himself. Because I just think I remember commentating it being like, oh my god, he's up 14 to versus 7,
yep.
and then you still like made a comeback as a result of the Dracking
because
pressure.
my hand was really good.
But that would have been 7-7 if you had just played into the back row, I think. And then you put up the Dracking pressure, and now he can't do shit.
My theory with that game was specifically, he hasn't played Celestial this turn. He would have played anything into Gloombat. So he's got literally the only reason he had to have possibly kept that hand was he has Argolith in it. So I can just sit here and on one Gloombat, punch for damage one at a time. He never gets the Argolith, and he's got to top deck himself into something. So that's what I was kind of banking on. And I figured if he's playing Argolith, he could end up with a second Argolith and just keep whiffing. So I felt my odds were pretty good to just card advantage him out, and then
the move there.
Once he gets no back row, bait the Argolith, drop the Dracking, steal the Argolith, and just go from there.
See, the move there, I think, the Omega Big Brain shit, is you cast a second Elestral, see if he responds, swap Gloom back to defense, swing 1. And now you have 2 Elestrals on board, and he can't Arcolith you still. And then you still have the threat of Gloombat every turn, where now you have more on board advantage, and you can still start popping.
Yeah, the other thing I'm really upset about that game was specifically just, I should have gone more aggressive sooner and started dropping more things on board than I did. I'm like, I'll just sit here all day. He's got nothing going on for him. I should have just started putting pressure on a little bit sooner than I did, because that's like 4 turns of popping stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely a hindsight thing, and he also like drew the fucking nuts both games. Like I was losing my mind at how good this man top decked. It was insane. Ambrosia into Earthquake, like
I definitely made some mistakes in that game 2. Like that game 2 was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, I just got to play around Arclith right here. Cast another guy in attack position. Pass turn. Oh, no! What did I do?
God damn it!
So was that also? Am I getting my Browns confused? That was the game where you forgot to Laurels first, right?
That was the first game. That was definitely against Law. I don't remember this game 1.
Yeah, because I remember you were like down by 2 spirits.
That was
you had
game
the Laurels.
1. That was game 1 against, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, because then game 2, it's like, I could shark him here, but I'm not going to because I'm a better person. This is completely out of context because no one has this context, because obviously the edit, they probably don't have it.
Yeah.
But there's a rules thing where it's like, I was about to say something that was, I was about to make an illegal attack with my, I believe it was my, I forget what it was, or my Ash Rabbit, I think.
I think it was Eletric.
Or something. I was about to make an illegal attack declaration saying, oh, attack with my Celestial to your Spirit deck, but he still had something in play because I forgot to royal it. Nerves, caffeine, stress, I'm not really sure what happened there, but I was about to literally say I'm attacking your Spirit deck, which I literally can't say, but he's like, oh, well, you're saying attacking, so you should be in your battle phase now. Judge. I'm like, technically I'm making an illegal action if I'm saying this, and it was just like kind of a whole... Nothing against Law. We're trying to win the thing. Like, it was perfectly reasonable to say, like, hey, I think he's in the battle phase now. But yeah, it was just a little bit of a shark moment, which is fine. He's trying to win the tournament.
He's trying to win. Yeah, you gotta get the advantage where you can, which we're all chasing that. That's a part of being a competitive environment.
But that was my rough matchup. Like, what did you guys find from your matchups? What did you like struggle with the most?
Earth. I tested that matchup so hard.
That's against Jess, right? Yeah. I haven't seen that game. How'd it go?
It went really bad. It went really bad. Game 1, she had everything. I think I played all right. I'd love to watch back the footage on it to really know if I played it correctly. But I think I played reasonably. But she had the perfect ratio to back row of Elestrals, as Earth tends to have. And I just couldn't stick a guy. And it meant that eventually she just accrued advantage better than I could, and I lost the game. And then game 2, I made a very intentional scary play, which was she had Eddie. I rock in a hard place with my own Eddie on board. And it's like if she sided into Kuribus or is maining it, we both get Kuribus out, and I go Kuribus pop hers heal 2, and then we're both open board, and she only had 1 back row. It's like the only thing that kills me here is exactly Gorgon's Gaze, because if it's Dense Fog, I can still swing and I can crash, and I'm fine with that. And it was Gorgon Gaze, and I lost the game on the spot. And it's like, yeah, I made the gamble. I put her on Better Have It, that she better have one of the 3 cards in her deck that wins her the game on the spot. And she had it, and I made that calculation, and I lost the game as a result of it. And I was perfectly fine with it because of how bad game 1 was. Like, that was such a... It's from an outsider's perspective, it was grindy as hell. It probably looks super cool. It probably looks like a rad game. I had people be like, oh, that was such a rad match after the fact. It felt fucking awful to play because every single thing I did was responded by the exact thing she needed at the exact moment. And there's a part of that where she, like, obviously is a very good player, and so she probably was playing such that she had the right things when she needed them. But the fact was her deck just drew better than mine because it is an objectively better deck, and that was what I found in testing, and that was what made that matchup so frustrating. Is it was a feeling of there's nothing I can do because I'm just playing as a better deck that I have no right to beat. I was literally talking with, like, Kevin about this in prep. It's like, yeah, the only way that I win this is she punts. There's no other way that I win, is she has to punt the game. And I just need to see if I can put her in positions where she's more likely to punt. And she's a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Worlds competitor. Of course she's never going to punt. Like, I had no shot. Like, I was down by 1 million just because of the deck restrictions. If the spirit deck restrictions were not present, we're on even footing because she didn't need the deck. The deck restrictions didn't matter to her anyway. So, like, that put us at such a massive advantage, having to play 11 Lunar Spirits with no good Lunar normal casts in the game.
Yeah, so what you're saying, the reason that we lost all of our games is because we're not bad players. The format was wrong.
Okay,
yeah.
Wait. I've got something to say about that because my bad game had nothing to do with the actual limitations. My bad game was because Coder decided to play 18 removal cards in his deck. So obviously, he was on Wind. Wind is not full of big guys. They can't really out anything that has a stat line of 4. So I was like, okay, if I sit on this Calfmel, or if I summon this Viserys or the Spectrus or whatever, he's not going to have an easy time outing it. And then I didn't get to deal if you watch back that match, I dealt 0 damage to him. I did not attack him once to deal damage. I think I attacked over an Elestral maybe twice, but I never dealt damage to him because every time I put something on board, he just was like, okay, cool, Cryoblast, okay, cool, Earthquake, okay, cool, Laurels, like, and it didn't matter. And that was the match where literally if I just got to stick the Pharaohgeist, it won me the game. Going into the match, he said, if you are on Pharaohgeist, I am giving you the game. And then I just could never get to the Pharaohgeist.
He literally he put that in the general chat like the day before too. Like, if you're playing Pharaohgeist, like, I quit.
Yeah, he said that to me as well in advance. And he was like, you would tell me if he's on Pharaohgeist, where I'm like, he's my teammate, man. I can't tell you what he's on.
It's like, that's not an issue with the format. That's an issue with the fact that there's 18 removals legal.
And there's no good way to get to Pharaohgeist.
Okay, but like, so in theory, right? Because again, this is going against Wind. They don't really have big attackers. If I just sit on the Calfmel, or if I summon a Viserys and I punch over something and get a second Viserys, like, the chances of me being able to, like, stick the Pharaohgeist should be relatively high. But, like, that's exactly what happened. I Viserysed, stuck another Viserys, and he double Cryoblasted me.
Like, it sounds like you got sacked. Like,
no, legitimately, like, I'm not mad at Kevin. Super cool dude. Like, we talked about it after. He told me, he's like, I have every right to be mad. And, like, I'm very mad at the game, but, like, that's not an issue with the rule set of the Elestriad. So, like, I feel like my game wasn't due to that. It was just due to he had everything.
Well, Kevin made the fucking run of a generation to finals because I think he would agree with me in saying every single opponent of his punted in some way. Every single opponent punted in some way.
That's
every
crazy.
single match, he would agree. I promise. Maybe one person didn't punt, but every single opponent punted in some way, whether it was an internal or external factor. They all punted in some way. Not a single game of his was as a result of him being on a better deck. It was him playing well into an opponent that misplayed or was not like healthy enough to play well against him.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he just pick win to have fun this season?
Yes.
And then it's like he didn't bring a side deck to game one.
to most of them. Yeah, he didn't side in most rounds, I believe. So
he won the mental game. He won the mental game every week. That's like part of it.
Well, it's crazy because Kevin, a notorious tilter, but it's something he's worked a lot on. And I distinctly remember watching him play. I think it was his round 2, and I could hear him tilt after the first game, and then lock the fuck in and reverse sweep from there. And it's like it was that mentality that kept him through. Is that he was able to keep his cool when previously he was unable to, and that meant that he was able to perform really well and perform at the level that we know he can because he's one of the best fucking players in the game, even on a bad spirit type.
I want it on record that literally every single match he was like, all right, guys, I just lose. And then he just goes and fucking wins.
Yeah,
it's true.
He won the mental game.
We tested. I tested the matchup of him versus Jess. He loses every single time. And she made multiple really bad misplays. And it's not to discount her as a player. It's just simple things that we all do. She missed a PTA, and that was game losing because the matchup between them in terms of skill is so tight. It comes down to those minor things. Missing a PTA, game losing. If she doesn't miss that PTA, she wins at least one more game. Like that, it's that simple type of shit. And the fact that he was able to keep his calm throughout and be able to play at that same level and not misplay was the reason that he was able to do as well as he did and be able to win. That's a credit to him as a player, and it's a credit to the fact that he was able to take such a bad spirit type. And he did a lot of labbing. He did do labbing to try and like figure it out once he was like, oh, I need to like actually take this seriously after the first, I think, 3 rounds.
Once you get the top 4, I guess I'll take it seriously.
Yeah, once you get the top 4, it's like, all right, I'll take it seriously. Because, like that's when it becomes a lot more real. Is like, oh, there's actually a possibility of making it here. Like, we need to try and, have this happen. He and I think a lot of it as well is he really wanted to play me in finals. He really wanted me to win. He really wanted to play me in finals. And so we both helped each other a lot in top 4 to try and make it so that we could have the legendary Knots Elestriad finals. And unfortunately, I'm on a bad deck. So and I think that actually the Earth versus Lunar matchup is way worse than the Wind versus Lunar because the card pool is like 3x there. At least he could do something with that.
Backtracking a little bit based on what you just said, right? Because obviously our card pool is just garbage. And I want to know if you guys agree with me here, because I'm pretty sure you will, but I know that some of the other ones are also kind of shitty as well. We just by far had the worst Divine, right? Like, our Divine was actually useless with the card pool that we had.
The only time that I actually thought that Artemis was a good play was specifically against Solar, because I knew that they're going to Solar Nexus, and it will just stun them out forever.
Yeah.
Every other matchup, I guess maybe if Wind Nexus was more relevant, but Wind Nexus, if they're going to Nexus, they already burned you for 3 before you get a chance to activate it, so it's like, cool, I'm going to burn myself for another one to stop you, like... Yeah. So against Solar, it's great. Every other match was like, okay, Artemis, you're going over there, and I hope I never try you.
Yeah. Because it's just like, if you look at the Divines that were available, like the ones that people would generally consider to be the worst Divines, you have Aeolus, which is kind of bad because it really only searches 1-drop wins, but like it's at least a searcher that's useful. You've got Hephaestus in a game where artifacts aren't all that great yet. But hey, Fire Nexus is a deck, so you at least get your Nexus banks off of it.
They don't even play Hephaestus.
It's like, but it's like at least their Divine.
There's a way you could.
At least their Divines did something for them. Yep. Like, we didn't have any of the suppression cards that Lunar gets because, like Caleb said, we only had access to celebrations.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that the best part about Artemis was I bluff set her frequently. And frequently she got popped instead of the relevant back row. That was the best part about Artemis. She was a back row hate magnet. She ate so many thunderstorms. God, she's been rained on for a long time. I feel so bad for her. That's a lot of lightning strikes, but she served us well in the line of duty.
I don't even know. Did I ever even draw Artemis? I don't think I ever drew her.
I hate you. I drew her. almost every game. I'm pretty sure. I hate you so much. I draw her so much.
I found specifically one good use for Artemis, and that was in a loser's bracket game. I had double Eddy on my field. I rock in a hard place. I ascended one of the Eddies into a Curibus, and then I misenchanted Artemis Water, so I didn't have to disenchant off the Curibus.
Let's go! Wait, that's so smart. That's so smart. Okay, this is reminding me of something, and this I think might be my biggest gripe about the Lunar card pool. Outside of how bad the 1-drop Elestrals were, God, I wish we had Temple of the Moon.
Oh
that
my God,
helps
yeah.
so much. If we had Temple of the Moon, that drastically improves the quality of our decks. So much. One card. The fucking stadium.
Like,
suck.
I think, did we all bring the water stadium as our backup stadium for Stadium War decks?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, we end up. What else? Like, oh man, it's just. It does so much to help. Yeah.
When I was against Iron Boffin, because he was on Frost, literally the only card I was scared about was Rhinosect. So my side deck, I had Atlantis, and I was like, okay, if he shows me game 1 that he's not going to misenchant the Rhinosect with water, I'm slapping in the Atlantis so I can run that guy over.
Yeah.
It's so tragic.
Like, that would have made Spectaris massive, Nobby massive. Like, it does so much.
It helps for
makes
the Thunder
Draking
matchup.
an 8. The Draking gets over any other 2-drops except for, well, other Drakings, but
Waylands.
Like, trades with Waylands. You could misenchant your Draking with a Stadium out to make it a 9. Like, there's so many opportunities that the Stadium would have presented us. We could have potentially made a little bit more of a Nexus package if we wanted to go like Posthumous if we had it, because all of a sudden you have like Fawnlet plus Stadium plus Artemis is like 8 defense or something ridiculous.
It's
like,
massive. Yeah.
And it's like only gets outed by literally Spectaris.
Yep.
And I guess Royal.
Which no one else would be playing.
Yeah. So it's like, that would have opened up a lot more options. So I think we just like wrote Posthumous off pretty fast. We're like, oh, we go Farrageist or Draking. Though I think Posthumous is a decent option. It's just, we're missing the card pool that supports, like, if we had Comalis even, like Comalis changes everything. Like, if we had
Comalis makes Farrageist viable.
Comalis makes all the 3-drops viable that are, was it Spectral or Ghost or whatever the
Spectral.
Yeah, that makes all those 3-drops viable. Just how like Celestial works.
I don't think it makes Posthumous as good as Farrageist, because Farrageist is like a game-winning play. Posthumous puts a lot of pressure on board, but it's not game-winning.
But you put both in your deck, so you go Comalis, cool, get Farrageist. Next turn you go, do it again, get Posthumous, start popping cards too.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, that was the game plan. If it were either of us versus each other, I was going to try to slap a moose on you because you wouldn't have the removal in theory.
Yeah.
It's like, we had good cards. They just didn't. I think the biggest thing is we had really good cards in our card pool that did not work with each other. I think that's the real crux of it.
They're all very isolated,
Like, we had 2 cards in the moose line. We had 1 card in the Nobby line. We had the full Draking stuff, but if you look at any meta Draking deck, it's 90% water.
It's water.
With a splash of Lunar.
What I really wish we could have played is the Turbo Draking list, because we've been Ren, my buddy that has labbed a lot of Draking, has dubbed it Girl Kings. It's just Draking plus Caprigal, and it's insane. It is such a sick deck. It performs like phenomenally well, and I wish we could have played that, because that shows off some really cool, interesting stuff you don't see anywhere else. It's a totally different style of gameplay, and I think the correct way of playing Draking is a super like aggressive turbo out Draking strategy, and we were forced to play the 5s version, which I hate. It is boring. I don't want to play. I play a good 1-cost card that generates advantage. I hit you. I set a back row, whatever, and that's my turn. I want to play. I cycle my entire hand back into the deck and draw 7 cards. I cast Tadpuff, Draking. I kill you. Like, that's what I want to do. That's sick. That's fun.
Yeah, like, I think we said this super early on in the kind of labbing, was just like, we have the access to the first, like, true aggro deck that's actually relevant in Elestrals, and we can't play it.
You can't play it in a true aggro way. You got to play this, like, watered down as a payoff for bad 5s. Like, That's the worst feeling, is we had to play fives. I hate fives. I want fives gone. That deck is so boring. I don't want to play this shit. I want to play Dracking. I want to play true Dracking. The best games that I had were ones where I basically played Turbo Dracking and nothing else. I don't want to play Specteris. I don't want to play Nabi. I don't want to play any of these bad cards in my Dracking deck. These are good cards outside of my Dracking deck. In my Dracking deck, they are bad. I want to play good cards that kill my opponent really fast. That's my goal.
So, I do want to touch on something you just said, because you said they're good in other decks, but in Dracking they're bad. I think we all also wrote off Nabi quite a bit. Like, we were always like, okay, here's where we bring Nabi, and then we would start talking about the deck build, and it's like, nah, Nabi's trash.
Yeah, Nabi's really bad.
My biggest issue with Nabi, just not to cut you off real quick, it's just it doesn't get over defense bodies. That's the struggle.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's like, it's weird because when you look at it and you read it, it's a functional 6 attacker, and like that should be good. But for whatever reason, every time we were building and we were testing, it was just like, yeah, this card kind of sucks.
Yeah,
it's only good into attack position Elestrals. Jess won game 1 versus me in top 4 because an Astrab stuck the entire game and activated, I think, 3 or 4 times.
How did we get over that?
I could not out it. You can't you cannot out an Astrab. It's exactly Eddie. Eddie Dracking. That's it. Those are the only ways to out it.
Bryoblast, which you don't run the Earth matchup anyway, because they're all 3 defense. You never run. Like, yeah, it's a struggle because it's like Nabi's great. Like, Nabi cryoverns into like a super buff cryovern, but we didn't have Doppelganger. Like, Doppelganger's a crazy card. It's super cryover, and it's just we just couldn't do it. I mean,
I couldn't do it. It's so sad.
That's to say, like, Lunar, like, not to jump too far ahead into Moonrise, but like Lunar's got a really like solid aggro package for like a lot of different stuff. Like, there's obviously super control heavy stuff with Lunar phases, but then the Doppelganger line's super aggressive. The Dracking stuff super aggressive. Like a Void as like a sub Lunar phase package is super aggressive. So it's really cool to see all those aggro tools that I think Elestrals is missing, because when you're talking to Elestrals about new players, like, oh, what's this deck? Oh, it's mid range. What's that? That deck's mid range. What's that deck? That's mid range. Like, okay, Water Stall. Okay, that's control. Blazers. That's control. It's like, where's the aggro decks? I mean, aggro deck? Blazers OTK is not even aggro because you have to spend 5 turns getting a combo.
It is combo. You're right. Sorry, I gotta reframe. Aggro isn't just can we swing for 12 damage in 1 turn. Aggro is I play a guy swing, play a guy swing, play a guy swing, play a guy. Oh, you're talking about 5s actually.
Well, 5s is like tempo because it's slow.
Yeah, it's tempo. It's tempo.
Like,
it isn't. There's no aggro.
We don't really have a deck, I think, until Moonrise, where it's I am playing this specific aggro package that I will go to try and win by turn 4 or 5. That you have to answer specifically, or you lose the game. Like, that's what aggro does, is I'm super fast aggressive. You answer 1 or 2 key pieces, I'm done. We don't have that in Elestrals right now, but we're getting there with Moonrise, specifically because all these Lunar aggro packages that we just are so close.
So what I think would have been really cool, and obviously, like, I'm not on like the logistics side of Elestrals, like how things are produced or anything like that, but it would have been really cool if the Elestriad was used as a way to show off the Moonrise cards. Like, if they gave us new cards from Moonrise every week for our Pantheon to use, and like those games were the ways of like teasing the cards.
That would have been
like, cool. Obviously, we got celebrations because that's what was physically produced at the time.
Yeah, I have one caveat. So if every week, or let's say we start off with this massive new card pool that nobody got a chance to play against, and all of a sudden it's like, here's an invitational tournament against a bunch of competitive players for a really cool prize. Oh yeah, also these guys have access to a bunch of cards that you have never seen before or played with. Like, that would be like, and then if we won, like, that would be salt to no end. So I'm kind of I enjoy what happened, but yeah.
I like the idea of using it as a way to reveal cards, but I think the way to do it is the entire the entire Elestriad has access to them, and I talked about this in like season 2 feedbacks. Like, it would be really cool to see like themed games. Like, here's a deck that you are destined to build it and play it, and then you can use that to reveal new cards. Like, if say, hey, you are given the Lunar phase for this game. figure out how to make Voldusk work. Like, go. And then
Lord
you're playing Doppelganger, like you're playing Fulgurix, like go. And both of you know what you're on, but you get to build these cool decks and then fucking clash it out and show them off. Like, that's cool shit. That's really cool. And that's what I think the Elestriad wants to be, because I think making it this like super hyper competitive tournament is against the heart of content. Content is showing off cool shit, and it's letting people's personalities show through, which don't show through as a result of having it all be dubbed over, which I think makes sense for the trying to push out a bunch of games and stuff like that.
Yep.
But having character duels like that, I guess character divine clashes, I don't know, better name than Yu-Gi-Oh terminology, but like that's how you can make the Elestriad so fascinating and interesting to keep up with and watch, because like, oh, what are they bringing next week versus these lunar assholes are bringing Draking every single goddamn week.
What else are we gonna do?
There's nothing else.
All right, so now that Caleb's back and we're talking about the brackets, what do you guys think about how every element did overall in the bracket? Like, let's jump into that.
So much better.
Yeah,
so much better. They played really bad decks. It made me very upset actually to see the decks that were played, because there's so much cool stuff that Frost could have done. As a big Waylance Morlith fan, like that deck's really good. There's a reason it's got tops, plural. Like, there's some really cool stuff they could do, and then a certain player brought a deck that had like 10 2-drops in it, and it's like the only way that works is if this statement has been redacted by Elestral's judging staff.
Yeah, you know what? Like,
I mean,
the round of 32 was like, I think it was the week before or the like week of Frost, like the Frost deck Cook actually showed up in Top Cut, so they didn't have access. So they had access to go, well, Rhinosec did well in a couple tournaments, but they didn't have the Waylance techs and all that other shenanigans going for them, at least at the time, where they weren't prepared to bring the better Frost decks. So I think that's part of it.
Well, Rhinosec Cryovern had top, and like that was a very viable deck, and I'm pretty sure that maybe I have my timelines wrong. I swear that Dimax had topped before the first Elestriad match.
We'd have to look.
I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure that because you're talking about when he brought the Morlith, right?
Yeah, he brought our list that we.
Yeah, I think that was the week after.
I literally think it was because the round of 32 took like almost 2 weeks to finish. I literally think it was in the middle of the round of 32 that the Moralist stuff started popping up. So that would force them to pivot off whatever they were already prepping for like the weeks after picking their element to pivot to this deck that showed up in a Top Cut once and then it showed up again. Like, so I understand why they would be reluctant to switch that last minute and go with whatever else they did, but
the thing is that Jayak had been already labbing something similar to that. I'm pretty sure. Like
he brought Rhinosect, I believe, but he brought a weird Rhinosect list.
That he brought.
If you watch that match, if you watch back that match, I think it was game 2. He revealed his hand, and there were 4 cards in it, and it was 4 2-drops.
Yeah,
so bad.
And they were all different named 2-drops. It wasn't like he had like 2 of one and 2 of no. They were like 4 different named 2-drops.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
I think someone tried to pill him on the Tadflow and Frostix combo shenanigans, where you go Tadflow ascend and Frostix hit Tadflow back, Tadflow ascend again, and just spam out 2-drops. Which is super expensive, but it's hilarious when you have 4 2-drops in play and 2 spirits left, and you just start punching, and they can't deal with them all. But
the funny thing is, that's what happened in his game 1, right? Is he stuck multiple 2-drops, and he's still
I
couldn't
think
maintain board presence.
Yeah, he's still like should have gone better, but it's Frost. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see Frost play a little bit more because they got knocked out so fast. But it is cool that how diverse the rest of the cuts went. Mm-hmm. Top 16 was 7 elements. Top 8 was 6 elements. I think it was 2 Earth, 2 Lunar, Solar, Thunder, Water, Wind. So and then into top 4 it was 4 different elements. Like, overall, I think every element performed well except for Frost for what they were given.
Yeah, I did check. The tournament was October 6th, and the the results for, I think, the first round were done well before then. So
Yeah.
They did not have access.
They did not have the cook
queue.
time.
They would have had access if they messaged me, as at least one Elestriad member did, about a type. Now, how well did that go for him?
It's who I'm thinking it is, right, Caleb?
Yeah, it was PK. PK reached out to me. I built him a really solid Fire Nexus build. I think he just kind of got very unlucky with the quantity of his opponent's counter runes. I think he played Law round 1.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is also just a very unfortunate matchup, because that was probably the best fire deck. You know, not to toot my own horn, but I think it was probably the best fire deck that was brought. I think Shady's deck was also really good, actually. Like, unironic, I think the Vesuvituga deck was also really cool.
And Shady's also super versed in fire stuff. Like, that's like all he plays. So he has he has a little bit of that. I haven't seen him play other stuff.
Before we decided that the Elestriad was going to be played with the new, at the time, new ban list updates, Shady was doing a stream where he almost figured out the FTK. Like, I was watching the stream, screaming at my screen. He was like, I think 4 or 5 cards off, and I was just like, oh my god, please figure this out. I want to see you do this in the Elestriad. I really want to watch you FTK somebody. And he was so close. And then we decided to use the new list anyway, so like it didn't matter, but it was just hilarious watching him cook what was just like so close to the actual FTK.
Yeah. It was great. He hopped in my DMs after the fact to talk about it, and I was just like, man, you're close. You can figure it out. I believe in you. You can do it. You go, man.
I bet nobody want to play that matchup if that happened. So. Like,
it would have been good content.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, it would have been good content.
Here's a 45-minute Elestriad match where one opponent just plays 3 turns.
Yeah.
No, what they do is they play it on like 3 times speed with that like circus music of people like running around chasing like no, not even that, just like
Buddy Holly,
yeah, whatever.
Dan just sulking in the corner.
Shady just rapid fire slapping cards down.
Hold on,
God, that's so funny.
We can make the FTK a little bit more consistent for the Elestriad real quick. All right, let me just flip this coin. I win. Like that's the like. I'm so glad the FTK got banned beforehand, because unfortunate that Fruit took the hit there, but like they made Fruit work. Fruit Fire. That was cool.
That was a really
cool deck.
It was unfortunate that I immediately Kurabist him.
Yeah, that's like, because that's the thing. Lotagon has really good stats, and against like Draking, it at least trade.
It was a good call.
You can go in defense, all that jazz, but it's like their Kurabis literally just says Lotagon be damned. Like, Lotagon's a really good boss Celestial. As the #1 Lotagon enjoyer here, Lotagon's actually a really good boss Celestial because its stats are really good, at least up until Draking and Kurabis came out. But having set like almost equal attack and defense, and having an 8 as your defense is super relevant into basically any divine matchup where they go, I play a 5 in Zeus. Okay, cool, my Lotagon's in defense, you don't get over it. Yeah. So I was so happy to see Lotagon actually put in some work before it got Kurabis to oblivion.
It was definitely sad to have to do that. It's like, I'm sorry, little one. Kurabis, attack.
I'm going to be honest, and like if you guys and if the viewers want to hate me for it, if we didn't end up playing the new list, I was going FTK. End of story. It was just going to happen. I was going to get FTK, I was going to show it to everybody on my Pantheon, and we were just going in.
Here, this is how we can make this the most miserable Elestriad so far.
No, I mean, that is actually a good segue. We talked a little bit about the format and like kind of the editing style and all that just going on. What do you want to see in the future, like formats for Elestriad? Because every season's been a different format completely. So,
I brought it up earlier. I think that like divine character clashes would be a really good approach, where they have a pool of dedicated types, and they have some pre-made decks that you can use, and you can modify them if you choose. I think that would add to, instead of it being a competitive event where it's like, oh, whoever wins get these prizes, it's like, we're here to make content. Everyone gets an equal like reward for participating. Show off these cool fucking decks. Show off the new Voldusk stuff. Show off Fulgurix. Show off the cool Frost Mill stuff. Like, show it all off. Let's let everyone just show these cool decks around, and you just run it. Like, I think that's the way to really make the Elestriad about the divines and about the new cards, instead of trying to make what is the people often forget that meta stands for most effective tactic available. Instead of making this all about what is the most effective tactic available, because I would love to play Posthumous and get my teeth kicked in as long as I know I'm playing against someone that's on an equally bad deck. Like, I don't care if that's what happens, as long as I know we're on equal playing field. That's why playing against Jess felt so bad, is I knew we were not on equal playing field. If I know I'm going in, it's like we're both playing a bad boss Celestial or whatever, or we're playing an unoptimal list that was provided to us by the team, I'm happy to go in and lose, even if it's like a painful loss, because at least I know we're on the same playing field, and that at least feels fair in some capacity. By the nature of choosing, like, drafting elements and playing them, there will be mismatches in power levels of games, and thus you will feel so much worse about losses, because like, it was outside of my control. I couldn't do anything because my deck is just bad. There's nothing I can do, especially with added limitations. The funny thing is that the spirit limitation ideally should be bringing the power level of something like Earth down, but actually it was a massive buff to Thunder and Earth, because they already naturally play 11 spirits of their own type.
If not more.
It hurt all the other decks.
Yep.
Like, that was the frustrating thing about it.
Bouncing off that idea, I think it would be cool if like season 4 was like sealed cube, where it's like, here's your deck archetype, here's 50 cards you can play in your archetype. Maybe not that much. That's what, an eighth of the game.
Yeah.
Here's okay. We survived with what, 13 cards. Okay, here's 25 cards that fit your archetype, your deck theme. Build the deck with those, because I think you still want to have the deck building aspect, because that allows a lot of kind of creative juices to flow within the player. And if you build the deck that you're comfortable with because you built it, you can do a lot more things with it. So you definitely want to keep that aspect. You definitely, I think, want to keep the elemental dueling, clashing aspect. I think it's fun to have, like, hey, we have to play Artemis. Granted, Artemis isn't good right now, but like, that's cool that we have to, like, having the restriction rules. Like, if, let's say, they wanted to play Blistrix as one of the cube sealed things that you can choose for season 4. Okay, you have to play 2 Blistrix. You have to play 3 Snowlets. You have to play 2 Asprowls. And you have to play Keone, let's say. And then here's 25 or 30 other cards, most of which are in Frost. Build the deck with this small sealed pool. I think that would be cool to bounce off your idea. I think it's cool that we had, full just sealed format, kind of like a combination team sealed format. It's nice to have one of these just be, hey, here's a super competitive event with light restrictions. So maybe we can go into an event that has heavy restrictions to make it a little bit more casual, but people are still going to metagame the hell out of it. But it'll be interesting to see what people do with like limited card pools and stuff like that. It just means a whole lot more setup on the Elestrals team side of things.
Yeah, that is the hard thing about it. I do think that the metagaming piece becomes way more alleviated if the cores of the cubes are distributed at random, and then it's about metagaming your own deck and not what is the most optimal selection I can make, and then optimizing that deck into all the other pools. I think that I also think that once Elestrals Clash is out in public and accessible, that makes this so much easier, because you just do it all in Clash and no longer you have to distribute product or anything like that. Like, that instantly makes this so much more interesting and so much more fun, because we now can actually do like meaningful cube type stuff. Because I think the limitation is saying you have 25 possible cards, figure it out. Like, I've listened to all of you.
Draft mode. We just play draft mode every week. There's season 4. Done.
Well, what is it? I think after, because obviously, this was constructed, not sealed like the last one or whatever. Dan actually said, he was like, we are never doing constructed again, because the absolute just pain in the ass of him getting all of the cards to everybody that they needed. Because like, you can't just invite somebody and say, hey, play a deck, but you're on your own getting the cards. Like that's kind of.
That's the hard thing about the cube idea, because I think the cube idea is phenomenal, but the physical cards make it so much more difficult.
By the time we get to season 4, Clash should be close to coming out. Asterisk, maybe not with draft yet, but I think season 4 would be really cool that it would run into Clash. That would be.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be really cool.
Honestly.
Draft mode doesn't even need to be out for then, because if you do just like a cube idea, it's just here's a list of legal cards, build it.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, Clash itself doesn't even need to be out, because we're getting our alpha access by the end of this month, and then beta access by the end of the year. So like, if you're doing it in Clash, just bring in whatever creators, give them a beta pass, and just
That's true.
Let them do it.
We're kind of cooking.
All
Drive, hire us.
Elestriad season 4. You guys ready? Elestriad season 4. It's just Clash. Done.
We're just playing Elestrals Clash.
I'm in. Sign me up.
I'm sold. Yeah.
Hop on Elestrals.
Hop on Elestrals.
No,
Sorry, I got a little sloppy with it. My bad.
I think at least as far as what season 3 was, it's exploring a new territory with the format, because we've changed the format every season. But I think the team aspect was really good in general. 8 people on the team, or 7 people on the team, was like a little excessive.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of planning. It's a lot of thoughts getting thrown around. We all spent 20 plus hours in call. At least the first week. Like, the man hours we put into season 2 was absurd, because we wanted to win and we wanted to improve our teammates, and some of our teammates didn't play the game that much, and it was a lot of work. This format worked out nicer because it's just smaller, nicher teams.
Mm-hmm.
You play your games, you're done. Maybe. I mean, we made it past round of 32. I think we all said, like, hey, cool, if we finished round of 32, we were here, we're done, see you next season. But we did pretty well. We honestly...
I was trying so hard to win, I'm not going to lie. Like, I had my divine planned out and everything, and, like...
Alex, if you learned anything from this season, learn from Kevin. You got to stop giving a shit.
Yeah, just win the mental game.
Stop caring is when you win.
No, if I've learned anything from this season, it's that Swole is a traitor.
What do you expect from him? He's a class traitor. He had second pick. Are you surprised he didn't pick the best?
And he picked wrong, and he got karma for it.
It's true.
It's funny. The peeps is like, sorry everyone for your brackets the day that video dropped.
So funny.
Okay.
It's great because at the time of recording, the final episode still have not got up. So people in my local area Discord are still talking about, like, hoping their bracket works out. I'm like, I can promise
shout out
you,
to Hexlex.
You have no clue.
As of right now, Hexlex is like the top of the bracket. And I'm like, yeah, they have, I think, 280 points right now. I just checked it before we started recording. I'm like, oh, you go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Hexlex is killing it right now.
Because, like, are we able to see that, or is that just a you thing?
Too?
Yeah. They're killing it.
Hold on, I didn't know we could check that.
Yeah, it's Hexlex, Yadalocked, and then a bunch of other people I know. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Zero perfect brackets.
With how crazy this bracket has gone, you guys are divination or something going on. You sold your souls.
That's
I don't know,
insane.
but like
they're crazy. I wish I could see what their bracket looked like. Like, what did they actually predict? Right.
But like, I
wonder if anybody actually put Coder as the win.
Maybe. I mean, he won season 1.
He won.
Well, yeah, but like again, he was on wind. Like, he was on wind, and again, this goes back to what we were saying. Some elements are just better than others. By all accounts, this the format of the Elestriad was most catered to Earth, Thunder, and then Water, and then nothing else should have mattered.
It did make the fact that only one Thunder player made it through very funny, because that was easily one of the best types. But I think that, like, all the Thunder players just had a bad matchup round 1 outside of Law, because he played Fire and PK played a good list, and from what I was told, he played very well, but Fire just has a very rough matchup into Thunder. And then I played 1S, and from what they told me during our game, they learned watching Elestriad videos, and we're hoping that they could find a deck profile of mine on Tracking to try and deck tech against me. Kristoff played against Golden Nova, who was on water, and like I think water is a very favorable matchup there. Who was the last Thundercaster? TCG Dome, who played against Coder, and like that was the game where he lost game 1, locked the fuck in, and reverse swept, and like that was an incredible comeback on his part. He played very, very well, and that's a tough matchup for TCG Dome.
Yeah, I mean TCG Dome, both the Haste Sage and Ruli, they're really good players. They've been here almost as long as I've been here. Like, they're consistent. They play well, but like Coder's also really strong. Like that's one of my favorite round of 32 matches because it's just like they're just good players. Like it's unfortunate a little bit where there's definitely like power level discrepancy of like experience for some of these players versus others. I think it was significantly mitigated this season, and last season to some extent it was pretty mitigated because we worked so hard with our teammates. But season 1, the power discrepancies of some players were like crazy different. So it's nice that the team aspect really tightened that down so you could have more interesting games that we spoil by putting the winner in the thumbnail every video.
That's what made it so funny when they broke that streak, I think, with Peeps and then me back to back, where Peeps won and then I won. That was awesome.
And then someone commented, "Oh, they always put the loser in the thumbnail."
The awesome thing about the Elestriad season 1 is like it was still team based because at the end of the day, Kevin was trying to get the Elestronauts to help him fucking make it to the top. So it was still team based then. It was just that he had 3 dudes in his ear like, yeah, don't worry, we got you. It's like we're gonna lab this shit out.
Expended draw.
I can't imagine anyone else had labs.
Oh man, this is crazy. He's putting on a clinic. Oh my god, the amount of times that they put on a clinic. That's like if I had a bingo card for season 4, that's going right in the center. Put on a clinic because the amount of times they've said that in recap videos.
He's putting on a clinic.
Yeah, Dan has said it like 4 times in both recap videos.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
So, I want to backtrack to something that I said before we kind of went off on that tangent with the leaderboard and everything.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I was trying really hard to win that divine. And I told you guys, I already had it planned out. And I had like 2 requirements when I was planning out what my divine would be. I wanted it to work with whatever it was that I won with. And I wanted it to be something that just is like on brand for me. Did you guys have anything planned if you won, like for what your divine would be? Can we like
Once
go over those?
I thought about it, yeah.
Because I'm really curious what you guys would do. Like obviously I'll share mine as well. But like I'm super curious what you guys would have made if you won.
So I started thinking about mine once I hit top 4. I was like, this is like a real possibility. I'll at least think about it. And I was joking around with some people in my local Discord as a result of the talk. I think brackets were going up around when I knew I was going to hit top 4, or maybe it was top 8. I don't remember. And they were like, oh, Caleb, if you win, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I would like to do, because you know, another Circle of the Sky reprint is so prevalent in the Elestrals and a great joke. It's like, what if I did another Circle of the Sky reprint? And in this case, what it does instead is, instead of Nexus 2 draw a card, is you Nexus, and then you draw a card. So you just are able to take a spirit on 2 different parts of your board, swap them, and then draw a card. So you could like Toxia Astrabbit, Nexus, draw, look top 3, burn your opponent for 1. Like, that's kind of nuts. That's kind of cool. That's a cool little effect. It's a cool little effect. And as we get more receive Elestrals, it would just make it more and more interesting and more impactful. And also, be able to have a card that says Nexus, really funny. Really funny.
Well, it's like, I always love cards in card games where it's like, here's the mechanic, here's it again.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think of in Magic the Gathering, which I don't play very much of, but I always thought Cascade was so funny. Yeah. I think that's such a funny fucking line of text on a card. When I first saw that, I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, how many times does it take to break it? I would love to see a card like, okay, it's Circle the Sky. It's a one cost. Nexus 1 spirit. If you do, Nexus 1 spirit.
I mean, yeah, that's basically the divide I'd want to make. It's just like Nexus. It also would be really interesting because you can Nexus off something and then right back onto it as well. So you have to swap things. You could just Nexus over and then Nexus back. And that actually is a really good nightmare. Does the Elestral receive in that case if you...
Yes. I would say that it receives.
It does. It would go to limbo briefly and then no longer have the spirit it received. But you could just... Toxian Ass Rabbit, Nexus off, Nexus back, and then trigger. You don't even have to swap them. You don't have to swap them. You just bounce it.
You could finally do what every single new player wants to do and Nexus 2 by going, I have one here, and go, whoop.
That was why I came up with it. Is the week before I got asked what I wanted to do, I watched a player at locals go, whoop. Like they literally picked up their Elestrals and swapped them. And I was like, what if I made that a real fucking thing you could do? That'd be so funny.
So all your Divine Rune has to do is just say disenchant 1, swap 2 spirits on board with each other. Done. There's the card. we made it so much simpler.
Yeah. No, but I like the idea of it being Nexus, because that gives it more versatility, right? It's not just you pick up 2 cards and swap them.
But less entertaining.
You also could do more there. It is less entertaining. The card actually should read, and this is official, I want Skyhawk to template this. Select 2 Elestrals on your board. Take them minus their spirits and exchange them. Their positions stay the same. You just go.
Elestrals joke set when?
Yeah. Where's our?
I'm saying we should get it for April Fools.
One day, I will be whispering in Dan's ear until one day we get a joke set.
Yeah.
Or at least.
Let me on the team to write them. I would
Shattered
love to come up with a joke effect.
Shattered Stars, April Fools.
Absolutely.
Gotta come up with some other like goofy cards. We need a zero cost card, obviously.
Zero cost card, an Elestral with an effect that matters. That's neutral.
A spirit that has an effect. We need to make
when an Elestral receives this spirit.
We need to make a stadium or something like that called like Tartarus, and then like just say select an opponent's Elestral. It is banned for the rest of this clash.
No, or even better, a stadium called Tartarus that just says activate this rune from your deck at the start of the clash. You are allowed to play banned cards in your deck for the remainder of this game.
Well, that's all upside because your deck's now 39 cards.
That's just the funniness.
When this card leaves the field, you lose the game.
There we go. Okay, fixed. Right.
Your opponent is not allowed to play a stadium.
Okay, you start the game.
When this card leaves the field, you're disqualified for playing banned cards.
You get DQ'd.
No, so you start the game with it in play, right? But you go second, your opponent goes, thunderstorm.
It's the funniest option possible. It's so funny.
No, so actually, speaking of like banned cards, if I were to make my Divine Rune, so actually I want to backtrack before I go with what my Season 3 Divine Rune would have been. To Season 2, after I beat you, Caleb, and I was like, there's a chance my Divine Rune would have been a Divine Rune that had like effigies of the rest of the team like in the background, and it would have just been like a Divine Rune that searches other Divine Runes. Because I think that would be really fun to have and thematic for the team format, right?
Yeah.
But if I won Season 3, after the ban list, it would have just said, you can special cast a Drataya from outside the game, ignoring the ban list.
That's so funny. No, I love that.
So I can play Fruit again.
I love that.
And the best part about that would have been if you get 2 of them in play, it's like, cool, now I get 2 Dratayas. And then I do it again since they're outside the game. I could get 4 Dratayas in play.
You got 4, yep. That's so funny. And make it called Ambrosia. Make it called Words Ambrosia.
Ambrosia Words. Or no, just this card counts as Ambrosia, like...
Yeah.
Or it's words as the Divine Rune, then the little parenthetical rules text. This card counts as Ambrosia - words.
That's so funny. I love that.
What my Divine would have been, and like because like I said, the two requirements that I like gave myself was that I wanted it to work with whatever I played, and that I just wanted it to be something that's like in fitting with me and how I play games. I would have made a Omni that says, you know, the same thing every divine says. You enchant it with 1, you can enchant up to 3, whatever. But you could disenchant 1, target an Elestral you control. It can make a second attack during the battle phase of this turn. Imagine how nuts that is with Draking.
Yeah. Just turn everything into blazers.
Draking, kill, steal. Draking, kill, steal. Okay, cool. I got 2 of your guys. Swing, swing.
Yeah.
So, you've heard about blazers combo, but how about less card Draking combo? The 3-card wins the game.
It's like, okay, so admittedly, I did get the idea from another card game. Caleb knows what one of my favorite decks of all time is and what that deck's boss monster is. So it's very similar to that, but like also super insane. Like it makes sense. I'm on the attack, like I'm going in, like let's go, you know, and just Draking being able to swing twice is insane.
Is this a mermail weapons?
Yes, it is.
It's funny how you found yourself with 2 water decks, huh?
Yeah. We weren't playing Lunar, we were playing Diet Water.
It was just Diet Water,
Yeah.
and we performed better than Water did, which is really funny to me.
Actually, that's something we didn't really talk too much with our spirit restriction. We basically were forced, so we had 11 Lunar, but then we were forced to play at least like 2-ish, 3-ish water minimum for every other card that's relevant in the deck. Which is like...
I always played more than that. I don't think I ever went below...
minimum.
I played
6.
I played 5 is the lowest I played for water. Like...
I played 9. You think I'm playing less than 9? You're crazy.
Well, against wind, I had the Cryoblast, which was really good against the wind matchup. I brought the Earthquake into the solar matchup, which came up once. Like, so the tech pieces I pulled actually worked out. So I did go pretty tight in the water, but I actually felt I didn't need the water too much because like you play your Eddy, you play your Rock and Hard Plate, you play your Draking. Like, and then I had 2 leeway for Tad Puff plays. Or even the plays where I go like Nog for 2 water, Tratogua turn 1. Like I never felt an issue with 5-6 water, which was nice. The rest of the tech spirits were hard. Yeah. Teching was really difficult with our spirit restrictions. Like, and
it was really funny. Every time I sent Skyhawk my deck list for check before our games, he'd be like, just want to remind you, you're not allowed to side out of any Lunar because you're at 11 and you have no other Lunars inside. It's like, yes, I know, Skyhawk. I appreciate you reminding me. But yes, I am well aware that I cannot side out of Lunar. I wish I could.
Every time I submitted a list, and this is mostly for losers bracket because like I lost second round, but every time I submit a list, I get the same message. What a surprise. Lunar's playing Draking.
Yep. What else can we play?
The only reason to bring Farrageist would be to completely throw off our opponent and put them in such a state of confusion that they don't realize you're playing Farrageist.
About the Farrageist thing, what's crazy is you can't play Farrageist with these restrictions.
I mean, you can. It's just bad Farrageist.
It is so much worse than an actual Farrageist list. Like, the more that I've labbed Farrageist after Alex unfortunately took a Farrageist list that did not perform well, the more I've labbed it, I'm like, this is a fucking solar deck. You play this like a goddamn... You play Apollo in this shit. This is the correct way to play anything that isn't exactly Reanimator Farrageist. Because you play it like a respect to my boy Wirtz, sub to Wirtz, you're here, subscribe, go watch the video.
I found a fire Reanimator list that does work in this restriction that is really close to my solar Reanimator list. And the solar Reanimator list already is like light enough that you can play the Lunar version of it. You're just sacrificing the consistency of Kathmel. But you can play a Fire Lunar with these restrictions Reanimator list that I almost brought. I'm going to actually bring it to my loser bracket that I haven't played yet. Because it works. Because you can your spirit are really tight because you're playing 1 Frost Spirit and you're playing like 4 Fire Spirits with all unique... Actually, I could probably get away with 2. But it works. It works because it's almost the exact same list as the Reanimator list. Almost.
Send me that list. I need that.
I gotta go dig it up. But it's almost
Go out in
identical.
style, play a Farrageist.
The problem is if you play anything more than one Solar Celestial, like Corvishine or other consistency tools, you can't do this. You can't do it. So you get one Farrageist, and you get one normal cast Solar Celestial.
And then you pray you see Ambrosia.
Or First Light. You get one of them.
That's awful! God, why?
It's all in.
Why?
It's all in.
Daniel A. Drive, why have you forsaken us to the cross of Lunar?
It's okay, because come season 4 and Moonrise, people are going to be, why is there so much Lunar everywhere? Because the Lunar decks are looking really nice.
So
what do you guys take on Lunar going forward?
This is a great transition into talking about Farrageist. I think that Farrageist is a huge problem in Moonrise. Like, really big. I've their
biggest mistake.
I got buddies that are dooming on Farrageist for Moonrise, which I think is very understandable because you can play a Moonrise package of Farrageist in any deck. You play Full Moon and you play a Farrageist, and you can just send any Elestral in your deck into Farrageist. It's just that easy. Is that good? Probably not.
It's expensive,
however,
but yeah.
It's really not that expensive for a game-winning play. You play a Viserys, you swing over something, you get another one, you pass. Your opponent does something, you prevent them from outing the defense position Elestral. They pass, you go Full Moon, Viserys, hard ascend into Farrageist. I win the game. Like it is a commitment of 4 spirits.
It's 4 spirits, 4 to 5, because you can enchant 1 off Full Moon, so it's 4 plus a normal cast plus 2 normal casts. So
what are the normal casts you're doing anyway? Because you're advancing your board state.
Yeah, Spectaris into Farrageist. So that's about on par with other, I don't want to say janky Ascension decks, but like this kind of Ascension ramp decks. Spending 4 spirits over 2 turns is about an average. If it's a 1-turn 3-drop, you're looking at about 5 if you're wind and 6 if you're any other element, usually. So that's about on par with any rapid Ascension 3-drop deck. It's just Farrageist is a pain because Farrageist is one of the 3-drops that self-contained says gotta have it. Which the gotta have it are Boombat, which Boombat's insane, but you can Gorgons it. Or even you can Dense Fog it too. Earthquake. So Earthquake and Royal are really good against it because the best part about the Reanimator version of Farrageist is you use your normal cast to cycle stuff. So you can Divine Blessing off of it, which is one of the biggest pros of that deck. But so Royal Earthquake are pretty good. And then you kind of go, well, everything else you can Dense Fog or Gorgons. So that Farrageist, so you need to have 2 removal.
You need 2 removal spells because you would natty play Divine Blessing because doing the Full Moon combo for it leaves you an extra spirit.
You can get the extra 1 spirit, correct? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you have it no matter what. So it's self-contained. And also, if you're playing in because this is a splashable engine in anything, you just play Thunder, you just play a natural Thunder board state, and out of nowhere say, I have Farrageist as well, and now I win the game. Like that is the scary thing about it.
Gorgon's Gaze can stop the combo too, though, because you can Gorgon's Gaze in response to Full Moon. They can still enchant too, but now they can't ascend it. So but if we're doing it in a board state
where if you're doing it in a board state where you're
they normal cast something else and they still have Elestrals that can ascend the following turn.
Yes, you're only ever doing it in a board state where you have 2 Elestrals, because if they Gorgons the thing you Full Moon, you say, okay, ascend this, siphon 2 spirits over. You can just, it doesn't matter.
So going into what you were saying about how, it just turns any Elestral in, I think the most egregious of that is going to end up being Ash Rabbit. Because just think about what you were saying earlier with how Jess had a rabbit that lasted for 15 or 16 turns. In that kind of a game state, all you have to do is all you have to do is Full Moon the rabbit, slap down the Farrageist.
Part of the reason is because we don't have Lunar. Our Lunar pool did not have cards that can out rabbit. That's part of that. But there are cards that do out rabbit decently well in other elements. I definitely think it's going to be at least a good deck. I don't know how. I think there's counterplay, and if it becomes a good deck, there's more options to counterplay against it. Poison Nipped Arrow is still okay against a Farrageist as long as you have a body on board to soak a hit. There's definitely plays. And if your deck's all about ascending into Farrageist, even though the package is pretty small, you're still sacrificing the consistency of the rest of the deck maybe to do it. There's lots of trade-offs there.
So So that's the thing, is that the Pharaohgeist, the Pharaohgeist, I got you. The Pharaohgeist pack is something you can splash into any deck as a payoff, right? The best way to play it is Lunar Phase, because you have the consistency to draw the Pharaohgeist. You're playing Full Moon anyway, and most of what that deck does is Sky Striker-esque control of, you have a guy on field that's high defense, you have a hard time outing it, and you just have interaction. And your opponent plays into so much interaction. You draw 2 every turn, and then eventually you say, okay, yeah, I'll play my Werepup, right? I'm searching out whatever, it doesn't matter. My opponent, tries to out it. I interact with them, they pass. And then I okay, Full Moon, enchant, Heart Ascend. You don't even need the Leica Void. Fuck that. Leica Void's a bad card. We play Pharaohgeist.
Well, Leica Void has the advantage of you have a 2-turn 1-card combo off Werepup. It's sort of but ideally you already
it's a vanilla have after the turn that you do it is the thing.
Ideally, you have Full Moon set already with Werepup. So spoiler if you didn't see the announcement video for the Full Moon stuff, I helped design at least the Elestral line. I'll say that. Voldusk. Actually, quick tangent. Did you notice that Voldusk is a self-contained fruit card? It has recovery and draw. You're welcome, everybody. Fruit's back on the menu. But on the menu. The Lunar Phase deck, if you're playing Voldusk Lunar Phase, you're generally not playing Volclips, Volumbra. You can, because the deck has so much draw engine, but I don't see why you would when you can do other things. But it is a really fun, interesting control engine, which the biggest downside I find to the Lunar Phase deck is, what do I do when I have no more back row to set all the cards I need to set for this deck, and my opponent just goes Hurricane? I have lost so many games in Lunar Phase to Hurricane when testing the
biggest downside that I think the Lunar Phase deck has would fix the Hurricane issue, and that's the fact that Full Moon is a counter instead of an invoke.
There's a lot of counter cards in it. It's just the Lunar Phase deck fills a lot of the back row, which is significant against a lot of matchups. We'll see what other people do with the Lunar Phase stuff. It was super fun to test, but it's one of my favorite decks, and there's just a lot of win cons you can play with it. It is a control shell, and it's just a matter of finding the win con that works for the meta, whether that's Pharaohgeist, whether that's Leica Void because people are playing something more aggressive, and Leica Void just kind of ends the game quick. I really like that. Somehow it took us until set 4 to finally have true aggro and true control decks.
True control, yep.
And that's what I'm most excited for Moonrise is we finally have more than just heal stall control. We have I play counter runes interaction control, which no one likes a blue player in Magic. I guarantee you no one's gonna like a Lunar Phase control player.
That's me. I love control. I'm a nasty little control player. I play Paleo in Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment. That's the only deck that keeps my interest, and it's a control deck. I love it. I love going Elemental Burst, blow up your board. It's so I love it.
See, I'm the opposite. I want my Draking to attack you twice and just go for game.
I like that too, but I'm not a dirty Tempai player. I like the control. I'm very excited for the Lunar Phase stuff. I will be probably attempting to max rarity that deck, unfortunately.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, all the Lunar Phases got reverses, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm right there with you.
Pray for me.
I'm right there with you, dude.
That deck is. I played I think 2 or 3 matches of it versus Ren, and testing out Moonrise stuff. It's so fun. We played a mirror, and it was so fun.
The Moonrise meta is. The Moonrise meta is so interesting. It really it's going to be so interesting to see what people come, because
I'm looking forward.
There's so much stuff going on with it. I do a video, and I'm going to make this eventually, where I go over all the archetypal support for the set. I'm scared to make the video for Moonrise because there's so much little pieces that just fit here, fit there, side package to that deck, side package to that. It's oh, it's so exciting.
I'm excited for the set. I'm very excited.
The good news, Caleb, is that you have an X of 10 Draking, and that's probably a good portion of your max rarity Lunar Phase.
But I can't get rid of my Draking. I love it so much.
What do you love more, though? 1 card or a play set of 9 cards?
Pineapples. I like pineapple.
Or you do what my girlfriend did and say, hey, I want 1 out of 10 Centaur. Let me pull 1 out of 10 Sonicore and trade that off real quick. She traded her 1 of 10 Sonicore. I think it was Sonicore 7 for her Centarbor 1 of 10 for her Centarbor deck.
That's awesome. Shout out to people that play X out of 10s in decks. You are all real ones, and I love you because you're not afraid to play cool cards.
Well, we just saw the first PTA pulled, I think, too, right?
Yeah, someone just pulled it. But yeah, blinging in a deck is super fun, and it's like the thing about Elestral's deck is like most of the decks you can build for like $40, especially now TCG players out. Shout out to that.
Finally!
But then you see like Coder playing his like $2,500 Earth deck in base set, and like
it's so funny because he sold off like all of his Stellars for that deck, and then Reason was like,
I wish I had him back. He's got 1 Equalings left, I think.
Cryoscopes don't exist.
They do. They're called Lockagon.
No, the Cryo Scorches do not exist. There is not one in existence.
No, they're called Lockagon. They're called Lockagon.
It's Lockagon and Poseidon.
Yeah, Poseidon.
Poseidon was the other one. I really hope they do exist somewhere. I mean, I legitimately think I don't think a lot of people open their Frostfall stuff once they realize that there's all the print errors in Frostfall. Like
I think that they did. I think that the Poseidon and the Lockagons were the X of 10.
Yeah.
That is my running theory. There's nothing to suggest otherwise. I think that the printing errors are proof that there are no X of 10 Cryoscorch.
At least we got, I don't know, a couple of hundred X out of 10 Imperilors in the set to make up for it.
Trade offer.
Not gonna lie.
Cryoscorches for Imperilors.
Not gonna lie, it's cool that print error happened once. It sucked to be Dan for that week. But the fact that the community was like, you know what? I kind of dig the fact that I have the chance to get this once in a lifetime X out of 10 because I will never get it again. Yep. So it's cool that it existed. It just sucked to be the manufacturer, and it sucked to be Dan for that week. Yep. But the actual community reception to such a major like screw up was, no, this is actually like the best thing that could have happened.
Really
It's so rad.
Cool. Yeah. Like, it was very funny.
The only issues that people like actually had with the print errors were the billions of Moroliths and Emphyrix and the potential no full arts.
The no full art sucked.
And the double stellar boxes making it significantly harder to pull a stellar.
Yep.
But the starter decks were cracked.
That's where all the full arts went. There's a bunch sitting in my local store right now, and I frequently consider going and buying them out just to open them and sell the full arts that are definitely sitting in.
So
that's where the cryo verns are.
I opened starter.
They're all in those starter decks.
I opened starter decks. Go, these are fine, and then everyone started pulling like crazy full arts and all that. I'm like, okay, let me get some more starter decks. I need some more staples anyway. Whatever. And then I pulled 4 Chivalrors back to back full arts. I'm like,
I have never opened a starter deck that didn't have a full art in one of the packs.
Yeah, but I'm not that lucky.
They had one.
It's definitely. Yeah. I mean, at least print errors are getting slowly fixed. I mean, we had massive improvements in Daybreak, for sure.
Yes.
The only issue with Daybreak is you had a little bit of, like, the base set first edition, like, common uncommon clumping again. But the rares were all fixed. Everything was pretty diverse overall. Like, I haven't had an
This is the best card out of Daybreak. And it has nothing on it.
You got that one?
Get fucked, nerd. Get fucked, nerd. Get fucked. I got 2. I got 2, bitch. I got 2 of them things.
I wish.
Owned. Alex is pissed because I outbid him on these from the guy that was
somebody
like, okay.
I think someone got one of them
cool,
signed.
Right? Like, it's a really cool thing to have, but like, it doesn't display well when you want to show the side that's the cool side because there's nothing on it.
I think
so. Like, I really wanted the text one. At least you got Caleb had to have more money.
At least you got the white front, Elestrals back, because there are people that got white both sides, and it's like this could be anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So Alex, here's the real shit. Take this to Worlds. I'm gonna get it signed by Dan. That's the real shit.
I think someone got one of the white cards signed by Dan already.
That's a good idea.
That's the real shit.
So here's the thing, right? Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong. The one that you have that has the text on it. Okay, fair. the one that you have that has the text on it, it tells you the rarity of the card, right?
Yeah, this is an uncommon.
I'm waiting for a stellar. Soon as somebody pulls a stellar of that is insane.
That's crazy. There's no way that exists, right?
There should be no way that this exists, but here we are.
It wouldn't be a plain white one. It would be silver with the hollow foil over it, because all the hollow sheets have, which would be really cool to have a full hollow front and Elestral's back. That would be.
They have those in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
I've got a Yu-Gi-Oh one.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh is known for the print errors. Let's go gold cards. Let's go gold cards.
Let's go. I love access code Talker, all gold version.
But no, I'm waiting for somebody to pull the one that says stellar. That is going to be like the height of the error cards for this game.
You might be able to say it'd be stellar.
No. Denied. The council is convened and they denied your request for stellar already. I could literally just throw your screen off the camera for the moment. No! You're gone. You're done.
I mean, I'm giving you more editing work as you throw me around.
That's gonna look really stupid when you're stationary on the screen.
Okay, but imagine how cool it would be.
I'll just blow you up and be like, I don't know what the hell Caleb's doing here. Just cut this entire conversation out.
It's just a green screen explosion footage.
All right, but anything else in Moonrise you guys are excited for? I know we talked a lot of Lunar here.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's gonna be the mill deck is so sick.
Let's go gambling.
I love that shit.
Oh dang it.
I love gambling.
Oh dang it.
It's so
kind of
so
go
sick.
To kind of go full circle. I'm glad that we finally get a Lunar pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the biggest takeaway. Like Lunar's season 4 Lunar casters, you're welcome. We set you up for success. We showed you the deck is fine with nothing. So when you have something, if you're not first place,
no excuse.
No excuse.
No excuse.
First place.
We're setting up for failure,
bust.
actually.
We're just
hit top 4 or else.
Sorry, we're just such good players. Lunar's actually terrible in Moonrise. Lunar's terrible now. It'll never be good. It's the 9th best element in the game, only behind Omni. You'd be better off just playing all Omni runes in your deck. You'd probably win the game because you have access to Ambrosia Shields and Gorgons.
Exactly.
I want to make that a deck now.
Yeah, it's called. You just want to build AirPods. You want to build AirPods, is what you're telling me. You want to build AirPods?
You said we're all good players. Speak for yourself. I suck. You saw my round 2.
We're trying to sound good here when they all fail next season. Roll with it. And actually, also, shout out to Steve, who's not here because he's pretty silent in our group chat. Yeah. But I will say,
put a picture of him somewhere on the screen, like throughout the whole thing. He's just kind of like peering out from the corner.
Steve has significantly improved as a player since season 1, and I will say, as I was the stand-in judge for season 1 for the Steve versus Coder match, Steve was the only person who could have beat Coder. He had an Altar at a certain, like, he had a play that would have won him the game if he knew that that's how the card functioned. Which is crazy. He was one play away from winning the game against Coder in season 1, which would have knocked Coder off his undefeated record for that. Steve's improved a lot, and it's cool to have him on the team. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but he's a busy man.
I don't know Steve all that well, but he has given me my favorite moment from the Elestriad so far, and that was watching his deck profile at the start of his round 1, where he's just like, if you remember me from season 1, please don't.
He said, I'm playing Krakatuga, and that's all I'm playing. It was like Krakatuga Majesty, like weird Ascension like thing, like water deck. He did his best. But yeah, I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Do you guys have any other topics you want to cover quick before we close this out? Going for about an hour and a half, so
I'm just gonna be salty and say limit every removal in the game.
That's a
I want no more 18 removals.
A-Drive, hire me for an unset.
No, me.
That's all I have.
I'm already on payroll.
hire us for an unset.
Yes.
We'll make the best April Fool's set of all time. It'll be so peak.
It would be great. Oh, unset.
It would actually be really solid. I'd have a lot of fun making that.
An unset would be great.
I'm going to be in your DMs right after this, coming up with joke cards.
I have been on the topic of jokes. I have been meaning to make like shit Elestrals players say or do like short series, and the first one is just be like Ash Rabbit set 3. Have the other guy complain that guy's playing Ash Rabbit set 3 that's so original, and then just follow up with Ash Rabbit set 3 and just do a bunch of stupid stuff like that. So joke set.
Oh, of course you started Ash Rabbit set 3. Anyway, Ash Rabbit set 3.
Yeah. It's just a whole series of that. Like the Elestrals memes are getting there, and I appreciate the Elestral community for like building it up.
Ash Rabbit.
It's
Ben Ash Rabbit.
Oh, and I'm sure you guys saw my "It's Bean" meme.
Yes.
So I on my stream last night, I figured out what the Swollax one. It's Swole Stocks. And then Caleb, you're gonna be Celestio.exe.
No, you gotta do Celestio.ex to immortalize a drive continually plucking up my name.
I'll put on a Pokemon.
Awesome.
I'll put on a Pokemon frame.
Yes. It's awesome. I love that I pointed it out. He's like, "Oh, my bad," and then said it both ways in the introduction video for Elestriad Season 3, I'm pretty sure. I was like, "Yes! We're so back! I need to make a Pokemon channel because of you now."
Yeah.
And then since you're doing one for all of the knots, you have to make sure that Kevin's is somehow Ash Rabbit, because he is Ash Rabbit's #1 hater.
No,
see,
it's
the
just
Kevin
gonna be
one
his
is just
divine rune. Yeah, it's gonna be it's literally the 3 like badly photoshopped cards of them, and then
No. What you do is you take it and you crop out where it says Distant Coach, you say Kevin.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this.
Other effort into it.
Let's wrap this up. So I guess you guys want to tell people where you're at again, what you're doing, anything coming up, anything. Say your piece.
Yeah, if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, my main channel is Super Insane 18. If you want specifically Elestral stuff, I have Insane Elestrals as well. Not a lot on there just yet, but I have some things planned. So yeah, go ahead and check those out.
And you can check me and a bunch of the other bozos that were just mentioned over at the Elestronauts. We do a lot of deck profiles, but most importantly, above all else, sub to words. You're here, you made it through this entire video. Sub to words right now.
Wait,
go leave a comment.
How would you
leave a comment telling Wirtz how much you appreciate him? Thank you.
How did they make it this
go
far
in the comments
without
and just type
subbing
sub to words?
Sub to words. Yeah, just type sub to words in the comments. That's how we know that you've made it this far.
Yeah, thank you, my Twitter cult, for giving me 57 notifications one morning when I woke up, saying
so
sub to
awesome.
words. I'm just
Sub
like,
to words.
guys, I think you
Any
got it.
Elestrals creators we should care about? Sub to words.
I'm so sorry.
Awesome.
I'm so sorry, whoever you were, but you subbed to me and you subscribed. Appreciate you.
Sub to words.
Sub to these guys too. These guys, I gotta figure out this camera going on.
Caleb just moving all around again.
This is so no. Okay, on my screen it should be that direction.
I'm gonna point every single direction, and then one of these will be correct somehow.
Also, I will say, Insane, I don't know too much about your content, sorry, but Caleb did make a really cool Liminal Spaces video. Check that out too.
Yo, time sync? No way, time sync reference?
Yeah, no, that was a good video. I enjoyed watching that. Check that out too.
I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, subscribe to all the Elestrals creators, even the bad ones, like Coder.
Even the bad one. Yeah, shout out to Distant Coder. He sucks.
He only won like 12 tournaments at this point.
No, you misunderstand.
He only won 2 out of 3
sucks
Elestriads. Like, he's not that
off. This is if you feel like pulling it up, editor Wirtz can pull up a tweet. I'll send it in the chat here. It's they just nutted me, and now they're making a video on Moonrise reveals.
Oh god.
And in the comments I put up a poll that was who got nutted in, and they are all Kevin. Every single one is Coder Kevin, Distant Kev.
those poll videos like on Twitter's they're wild.
The polls are so good. They're so good.
Wild. You guys,
They're almost always wrong too. That's the best part. We love sitting at a call as the four knots and going through the recent polls and seeing who is right and who's wrong. Awesome.
all right, but thanks everybody for showing up. You guys, thanks for sticking with me for this almost 2 hours. Hopefully it gets cut down a bit because long videos are long. Thanks for padding my runtime. And
get some watch hours.
Yeah, I my watch hours actually just took a. I went on vacation. My watch hours went.
Yeah, now you're gonna have a big spike because people love to. I'm gonna promote the hell out of this shit on the Illustrators accounts.
But yeah, thank you again for showing up. Thank you guys for watching. If you're here, if you're saying sub to words and you already wrote sub to words, you're gonna now reply to your own comment saying banana, and that's how we know you watched the whole video. So thanks for showing up.
Yeah,
I appreciate all you. Any last words, guys?
Last words. What's happening after this?
I'm getting the gun.
But yeah, that's it. Cut.